the hardest bathroom fight in anime just dropped today. I'm stunned. I don't even know what to say about just how good this episode looked. Like, I don't know who worked on this episode. I don't know if it's freelancers, veterans, newcomers. I don't know, because it's Studio Mappa. They constantly have an influx of new animators, to old veterans, to freelancers. We can't probably know. I mean, unless someone really is an insider, knows all these little details. But regardless, everyone that worked on this episode, if I could just, like, if I could give them a handshake, I would. Like, they didn't need to do what they did for this episode. There was no business whatsoever for just this to look as good as it did. And I think there's so many things that work very well for this episode and why this episode is jaw-dropping. Obviously, the art and animation is pretty, but I think it's because of the choreography, with the hand-to-hand combat, to the kicking, to just the usage of the color palettes, like the colors, to the background, to the rain effects, the sound effects, the voice acting, the narrator. Just, it's so much that is working well for this episode that really elevates it. And I gotta be honest here, the last time, like, a fight really engaged me to this level, like, really got me engaged and immersed, I would say probably is Hunter x Hunter. And that's very, very high praise. Anyone that knows how much I love Hunter x Hunter knows my praise for it. I think that is, like, basically the pinnacle of a shonen series. It is, at least anime, it is amazing. And if I'm giving that praise, I don't say that lightly. I'm not. I don't give that praise out at all. And this is incredible, because I think what really works so well with this is actually just the hand-to-hand combat here is very easy to follow, but if you re-watch it, there's so much you can notice with little effects and stuff that's added in while the fighting is happening. And it's just, it's nice, because a lot of fighting sequences is very hard to follow, or there's a lot of reused frames in animation, which happens, because production, time constraints, etc. But, this entire fight is just pretty much a brawl between two individuals in a bathroom in a subway of all places, while the water sprinklers are going off, and they're not really even using abilities. They're just straight up, like, fisting, like, just punching the crap out of each other. And it's just two beefy guys, basically, or one beefy guy, kind of slightly beefy guy, beating the absolute tar out of each other. And it's just, like, it is brutal. It is a brutal fight. And also the colors here. The way the usage of blood is done with just the background colors and stuff just make a lot of these scenes really pop, because it's like, as we know from previous episodes of JJK from this season, there's been a lot of ghosting and all that, and the reason for that is because of just Japanese law with broadcasting. You can't give people, just seizures and stuff with just bright colors. You can thank the Pokemon episode. So basically, it's not necessarily Mappa's fault. They gotta ghost things. That's what they gotta do. They gotta ghost, they gotta dim things, all this type of stuff and all that, okay? And this episode doesn't really have that. And it's a really beautiful episode, because it doesn't suffer from some of those flaws. And I think it's because of, once again, it's in a bathroom with water pouring down. So it's already kind of like a dimmed episode. But because of that, they can use these colors and shading, like you can see the shading with the red and stuff on Yuji, to its advantage to really also make it bright, even if it is in a very dark space. It's just, this episode works very, very well. Once again, not even getting into the hand-to-hand combat and stuff, and it's just, it's very amazing to see a fight that isn't necessarily completely reliant on abilities like, beam battles or anything like that. Yeah, there's blood and stuff being used in this, but it's refreshing seeing just two characters just pummeling each other. And there's nothing else. There's nothing more complicated than that. It's just, they're brawling. They're just straight brawling, trying to outmaneuver each other, using feints, kicking. It is just, it's so good. It's such a good sequence, and this goes throughout the the entire episode of JJK, and man, it looks so good, man. Like, it is just and okay, let me be honest here. Let me talk about a few things, okay? What makes this just so excellent? as you know, I love anime, and I do watch pretty much almost anything. But I think anyone that does know me, I do enjoy a good fight, but I also really love slice of life romance type stories. And I don't say this lightly as well. I think that this is probably, out of everything I've seen this year, and everything I've seen trending and talked about, etc., this is probably the best fight of 2023. Hands down. Like, I legit will... There's really no competition. I mean, we could say a few other scenes maybe from JJK, but I don't really think there's much competition. Just, like, this episode is jaw-dropping. It is a jaw-dropping episode. And let's get into that for a second. This, in the manga, was good. It was a good sequence in the manga. It looked really good, it was enjoyable, but it wasn't necessarily, like, something that I think a lot of people were hyping up and just like, oh, yo, this is gonna be the #1 fight I'm looking forward to. I don't think everybody was looking forward to it. Like, there's probably a few, but nobody probably expected the manga to be adapted like this in the anime. And it is just next level passion, and anyone that worked on this episode probably has a very bright future in the industry because they did a lot of work here. Like, it is insane. But, yeah. Another little detail, getting off the fight sequence, what I really, really do like about this is this little sequence where Yuji actually talks about, his self-worth. He talks about, you know, how he feels like he doesn't need to be the one to accomplish the main goal. He says it right here. I don't have to be the one to rescue Gojo-sensei. And this line goes so far. It's such a minor line, but it gives so much development to Yuji as a character, and this can easily fly over people's head, because let's be fair here, this is a crazy episode. There's a lot that happened this episode, even if it was basically a fight. And everybody's mind's going to be just wowed, and this is going to be an underrated line. 100% if you're watching this episode. But this line basically shows how Yuji feels about himself, his self-worth, how he feels about himself in this grand scheme of things within the world. You know, he's willing to just die. He doesn't care, basically. If it means bringing down another opponent and being basically a stepping stone for someone else to be able to move on past him, he will do so, so to speak. It really speaks a lot about Yuji's character, how he feels about himself. He doesn't feel like he needs to be the most important. He doesn't need to be the guy that does everything. I think that is really interesting, because a lot of shonen characters, they always need to be the one to bring down the big bad, or be the one to accomplish the main goal. And I'm not throwing shade at those series, but, like, a good example is Dragon Ball. Like, you know, Goku's always got to be the one to bring the big bad down, and that obviously leads to a lot of issues within the community. I'm not going to get into that one, but the point is that usually shonen main characters, they have to be the one to accomplish the main goal, or bring down the main villain of the arc, or etc. And so, when you see this with Yuji basically saying he doesn't need to be the one to save Gojo-sensei, he just needs to bring down, let's be fair here, basically a grunt of all the enemies going on right now. He's strong, but he's not like the top level, okay? And so the fact that Yuji's saying, I'm willing to lay my life down and die against this guy, pretty much admits that it's like, yeah, I don't need to be the center of the universe. I don't need to be the best, you know? It's refreshing. It's a very refreshing take from a main character, which has obviously led to a lot of people clowning on Yuji over the years, saying he is a side character, saying he's a mid character, he's a bad character, whatever, or is he the main character? But I really like the realistic take with Yuji. I love his character, and just this line alone is just excellent. I love it. It is such a good line that it goes so far for his character, and just a fight-orientated episode. But I'll leave it at that. I wanted to talk about this episode. This was an absolutely stunning showcase of art and animation with colors, etc., cinematography, choreography. It is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, thank you so much for watching. May you all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.